I'm looking over and there's this fog rolling in. Then I realize that's not fog, that's a lot of bugs. It's kind of difficult for Mary to not overthink, for her mind to not go to the worst place when God sends a plague over to their wedding. This sure do not be the best way to start spending your lives together, right? The funniest part though is even before the Prince of Egypt themed wedding, it was crystal clear to the entire audience that Brandan put himself in a position to fail in this relationship with Mary. Brandan, the 23-year-old dweeb that hates America, moved like an absolute kid in this relationship, moving to the Philippines when you don't speak the language with $250 in your bank account. He spent his entire net worth, which was $60,000, to buy a house for him and Mary in the Philippines, and he doesn't even own the land where the house sits upon, and he allowed her entire family to stay there for free. Isn't it very ironic that her brother and his wife have their own place, but the parents chose to stay with Mary and Brandan and all the cousins, and there's always people in and out of this house? They're taking advantage of him, absolutely, I agree. But here's the thing. As a man, you need to stand up for yourself. You need to have self-respect, and that's the problem with Brandan, is he's so passive and weak. Yes, Bobby, anything you say. So Brandan sacrifices all this time and money to be in Mary's world and be all about his Bobby. He moves over there to the Philippines, they move in together, he gets her knocked up, and then he turns to her and asks, what are we gonna do about our money troubles? Well, that's not very masculine, Mr. Provider, Mr. I'm gonna throw all this money at you to attract you in the first place. Obviously, it takes money to maintain this woman. Since Brandan has started to rely on Mary to make the money moves, there has been a huge shift in the dynamic of their relationship. I mean, hell, Mary has been mentioning multiple times the past 8 episodes that Brandan is spending way too much time playing video games. He's sitting around and playing video games all day. He's not working out. He's not helping out around the house. He's not helping out with the farm. Grandpa already has his financial burdens. He knew this going into this relationship, that this girl's family isn't well off. They don't have spare money. The grandpa works every day. If anything, because of his lack of male role models and mentors in his life, he should be looking at the grandpa and say, wow, how can I be a masculine man that works every day? How can I put food on the nice table that I've already bought for my family because I have no income at the moment? And in episode 19, when Mary is having a conversation with his mother even backed her up that he's always had a problem playing video games and being complacent. So she promises to talk to Brandan about these things, which is respectable, that his mom didn't just enable that behavior from him and instead chose to side with Mary because it was the right thing to do, and she's gonna have a conversation with Brandan in episode 20. At the beginning of episode 20, Brandan says that there's some awkwardness between him and Mary right now, even though it's the day of their wedding, because they recently had a fight about him playing video games too much. Brandan says, Bobby, do you need help with anything? I love you, Bobby. And she just walks away with her family. Right now, Mary's under a lot of stress. She wants to get ready for the wedding, and she has no time to say things to make Brandan feel better about the situation, because here's what he's looking for, is emotional reassurance and validation.
Tulog maayo, kaya ala ko paminsar sa mga pagkumakatin sa ako.
Paano ba na nga magkasal na ko po, Brandon? Gay, kita na ta sa nga po, tate. Kundi, tapos na niyo kutan.
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently.
She's bringing up the grandchild when Mary's expressing her concerns about walking down the aisle with Brandan. It seems like because they're very religious, she's putting a huge emphasis on Mary and Brandan getting married before this kid is born so that they're not shamed by their neighbors. That's what it seems like to me, but I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. And as I said in previous videos, there's a lot of holes in their storyline because they were so religious until all of a sudden she's knocked up and everyone seems to be cool with it. We didn't see any backlash from the family. There's a lot of things that don't really make sense in terms of how it all played out. However, I don't agree with grandparents or elders putting a lot of pressure to get married because it looks better to their neighbors or they'll feel like it's more respected. We then find out a very interesting piece of information, and that's that Mary's grandfather is not attending the wedding. She says to the audience that he has to work, which is why he's not attending the wedding. I'm sure that he could have taken the day off. The problem is that I don't think he likes Brandan for his granddaughter. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. I think that it's very disrespectful for him to not attend the wedding when Brandan paid for the house where he lives.
My land.
She's like feeling a little alone in this whole like sort of building a life thing. You know what I mean? Like just time to give up the constant playing on video games throughout the day.
This is the day of Brandon's wedding. He's about to be a dad, and his mommy is telling him to stop playing video games throughout the day.
When I was in America and I'm like sending Mary pretty much like 80 to 90% of my paychecks, sometimes all of it.
Yep.
Wow! Imagine giving 90% of your paycheck to a woman you've never met before on the other side of the world. Do you understand how many V-Bucks that is, Brandon?
I probably give myself like 100 or 200 for 2 weeks. So yeah, I know how to budget. But now it's like, you know, Mary's the one selling phones and she's the one getting income, and I get that I'm not doing enough.
She's the one getting income, $17 a month, dude? You might as well buy one of those hats with the propeller on it, because you're a kid.
You're getting married, and it is for life. You're gonna be a father. This is it. You know, man up.
Manning up, curling down, curling down.
Here's my thing with this. It's really nice to see his mother be real with him, but it is weird hearing this out of her mouth because she's the one that used to be a drug addict and lost custody of all of her kids, including Brandon. His mother eventually got sober, and we've seen her on the show really try to make up for her past mistakes. However, the damage is done to Brandon, and you can tell by how strong his fear of abandonment is. Because this kid hasn't had any good mentors in his life. He really hasn't had guidance, and he's the same age as our little brother Christian. Christian couldn't be any more different than this kid. You can go to the gym, you can do push-ups, you can learn how to farm from grandpa, you can start, you know, gearing up towards your creative career because they work on social media now. You can learn how to edit, and from what I've seen with their YouTube channel and all their social media platforms, it's very clear that Mary puts in more effort than Brandon does. Did Brandon work hard at the beginning of this relationship and shell out all this money to build this house in the Philippines? Absolutely he did. I'm not taking away from that accomplishment. It's an accomplishment in itself because I don't know how many other countries you could FaceTime your little girlfriend on the other side of the world 24/7 and still make $30,000 a year. Here's the thing though, the grind doesn't stop, and that's what I've said in the past couple of videos, is that when you get there, you don't just spend all this time playing video games.
A man provides for his family.
A man is the provider, especially when you have a little girl on the way. It's time to buckle down and take care of business, buddy. You're spending all this time laying down in bed playing mobile games. How about you do us all a favor? You watch YouTube videos, you pick 5 creators you want to make videos like, and you learn how to do so. Download Final Cut Pro, Premiere Pro. Even if you don't want to work right now, you could be watching tutorials on how to make videos on the internet. There is so many things that you could do that are a better use of time than sitting around playing video games being a lazy bum. Brandon's mom then says to him, I know you have the ability to do this. I have seen you do things for her, with her, because of her at the age of 23 than any of the men I've dated up until their 40s. Oh, that's real sweetie pie of his mother to say. She goes on to say that it's going to take a lot more effort on his part. And honestly, I really liked Brandon's response to hearing this from his mother. He thanks her for the advice, and hopefully he makes a change for the better. Brandon then says to the audience that his mother has never been supportive of his relationship with Mary until now, and then you see them hug it out. Brandon then gets ready for his wedding. He puts on his suit, and to be honest, because he looks so young and acts like such a kid, it's almost like I'm watching a high schooler get ready for his prom. Brandon and his mother exit the house, and we are once again reminded while looking at this home that there is no way that the entire $60,000 that he sent over there was all invested into the property. Anyways, Brandon and his mother drive to the venue, and once they get there, she asks her son if he knows any of these people that are attending the wedding, and Brandon responds, no, Mary planned the whole thing. I have no idea who the majority of these people are. And I find it a little odd that his godparents didn't attend his wedding. I would see that as disrespectful, especially because, you know, they allowed him to stay in the RV outside of their house. It seemed like they were very close. He expressed to the audience that they were very close. And I already got a bone to pick with his godfather, because when Brandon was gearing up to move over there with $250 in his bank account, his godfather said, well, if you're not worried about it, I guess I shouldn't be either. This kid needs strong male role models in his life, and that was a great opportunity for him to step up and be that for Brandon, and he wasn't. One of my favorite Disney movies is Treasure Planet. Highly slept on movie. Between that and The Black Cauldron, man, they don't get all the recognition that they deserve, right? But in that movie, there's a scene where they play this song by the lead singer of the Goo Goo Dolls, I'm Still Here, and he's talking about how can you learn what's never shown, as Jim is chasing after his father that's walking out on their family. And I agree with that to a point. I think that at some point when you reach adulthood, we have the internet, like no one's had this kind of access to information. So you can do things for yourself and take inspiration from multiple sources and you know, figure out how you want to hold yourself as a man, but it definitely helps to have strong male role models in your life that impart wisdom, and this kid hasn't had that. Side note, another thing that confused me about their wedding is that the mayor of the town that they're residing in gave them away, and earlier in the season, Mary did the most to convince everyone that she was super religious, and so was her family, they're Catholic, but the mayor's giving you away? If anything, it just seemed like the mayor wanted to be on TV, which fair play to him, but I just thought that that was super random. On a positive note, the venue that they selected for their wedding was breathtaking. The views were immaculate. And when Brandon locks eyes with Mary, the love of his life, in her wedding dress, he can't even believe it. He says to the audience, wow, that's a beautiful woman right there.
I haven't met anyone that could make me feel the way that you make me feel.
Brandon goes on to tell Mary that she will never have to worry about him abandoning her. He sees his future with her and he loves her more than anything in the whole world. Then it's Mary's turn and she tells Brandon that she loves him so much, and then she says something very interesting. I know we have been fighting a lot, but I want to spend my life with you. If I was in the audience, I'd throw a red flag up like a referee, because it's no one's business that you're fighting a lot. And that's something that's very personal that you wouldn't want to hear when someone's exchanging wedding vows, right? Brandon and Mary both say I do, they kiss, and everyone cheers, yay! Yay, I'm so happy for them. This is the happiest we've seen this couple the entire season, especially Mary, and she says to the audience that she's so happy because there's no divorce in the Philippines, so Brandon can never leave her. But she says this, it sends me in a giggle mode, but the good news for Mary is that Brandon's planning on never leaving her and never leaving the Philippines for that matter. Unfortunately, Socks, the good vibes were short-lived because some uninvited guests showed up at the party. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Mary and Brandon's wedding summoned a plague. Y'all, look how many buds are on Brandon's shirt. Do y'all think that this is nature's way of telling them to not get married? Let me know in the comments below. Mary and Brandon, hi lovebirds. Congratulations on the birth of your daughter, and I hope that you're working on your financial situation, getting to a better place. My Wet Socks, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy lives to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have some time, perhaps you can check out our Amazon storefront. I've compiled some great gifts for guys and girls because the holidays are coming up and there's a Black Friday sale at the moment. If you got some spare coin, check out our merch, and if you want some one-on-one time with me, please order a Cameo. I'm the #1 Cameo creator in the entire world. Super thankful that y'all watch my content.